Hey guys, well we're back again. This is History 1302, eight week series. We're on session 3, part 2. We were talking about McKinley. We were talking about imperialism, and then we talked about he was the third president to be assassinated. Now let's kind of talk about who will take over. Well, guys, his vice president is going to be a guy that, well, we all know who his vice president is. His vice president will be Theodore Roosevelt, and Roosevelt will take over. And we're going to spend a lot of time with Roosevelt, so I don't want to really occupy a lot about Roosevelt right now, but after he's assassinated, Theodore Roosevelt will take over. So what else is also going on at this time? There's a couple of things, guys. We back up here. Let's see. We talk about annexations to the United States. We're going to annex the Philippines, which there was already problems with Japan when we did this. So December of 1898, McKinley, when he was still in office, will govern the Philippines. Hawaii will be brought in. July 1898, Congress will annex Hawaii. We'll also annex Guam and Wake. Guam and Wake Island will also be coaling stations for the U.S. Navy. They're going to also be very instrumental guys in World War II, because we will lose both Guam and Wake and the Filipinos to the Japanese during that war. Alaska will be brought in. And it's very interesting with Alaska. We buy Alaska for $7 million, which isn't that much. And at the time, they really thought Alaska was a big waste of money. They said, we have just bought this frozen, worthless place until they find two things in Alaska. They're going to find gold. They're going to find oil later on. Alaska was a great buy for $7 million. That will come under his. So America was vastly becoming a vast empire. We stretched all the way from Hawaii to Alaska, Guam, Wake Island, the Philippines, all these different provinces. And remember, we never call them colonies. England would have called them a colony. We're not going to. Now, with something interesting about this time, and I'm looking at the PowerPoint, it's the Boxer Rebellion. Now, the Boxer Rebellion, you may say, well, Mr. Offer, why do you have that? The Boxer Rebellion will occur May of 1900, and it occurs in China. The Boxers were a group, they called them the Reiches Harmonist Fist, and they were a group of rebellious individuals. We just called them the Boxers. I guess in America we could just simple that down to Boxers. And what's going to happen is for the first time, an international group will come over there and help China. You will have America, Britain, Germany, Austria, the Russians, the Japanese, the Italians, all these different nations will go together as a coalition to go to China to help them. Now, guys, you think about that. Today, whenever we get involved in any type of foreign war, we want to go in under a coalition. This is the first time it's going to happen. That's why that's an important event in our history, and that's why you may see it in a test question. So basically, at this time, by about 1890, America was no longer considered a frontier. What I mean by that is, we knew the area was geographically mapped out. We knew what we had. Now, the Yellow Press will come in, and the Yellow Press is kind of interesting because it's going to be run by guys like Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer, which we think of the Pulitzer Prize. And basically what they did, guys, they were investigative journalists. Today, we see that all the time. But New York City especially, they had guys like Boss Tweed, and Tweed was this like crooked guy that had his hand in all kind of government stuff. And in fact, I don't refer to a lot of movies, but I was watching Gangs of New York, and Boss Tweed was on there. They had a little guy, Boss Tweed, because he had his hand involved in everything. But these kind of guys investigated corruption. They investigated guys like Boss Tweed. And like I said, so that's what we'll cover this chapter. Now we're going to come back. Like I said, this was a very short one, and we're on section 3. When we get to part 3, will be an overview. And we're getting ready, like I said, Theodore Roosevelt is a big guy. he's a big chunk of history to discuss. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about him in this overview, and we'll see you guys then. Bye.